And obviously we've seen over the last week or so extraordinary statements coming out of the White House and from Trump, and indeed from the Danish Prime Minister, about the pressure that she's being put under, a NATO ally of ours and his, around Greenland. And I asked your colleague James Murray on LBC on Sunday about whose side we're on in this conflict. Just listen to what he said.
The American president is threatening a sovereign country with which we are closely allied, Denmark, with military and economic pressure unless he gets what we want. And the British government doesn't have a view about that.
Well, I personally haven't seen those comments. But what I know
he's been saying it for weeks.
Well, I thought he said he just said something.
Well, he said there was Financial Times reporting, but he's been saying it for weeks.
Okay, I'm not going to get involved in that dispute. What I'm going to focus on is what we want to do as the UK government working with the new US administration.
So screw Denmark then.
Just a very classic Lewis interview, if you don't mind me saying, having been on the receiving end of a few of those on a
thank
Sunday
you very
morning.
much. I'm just wondering whether the British government does have a view. He's a junior minister, you're a cabinet minister. Whose side are we on in that dispute, Denmark or the United States?
I'm sorry, but two NATO allies, why are you saying aside?
Because the Danish Prime Minister is out there trying to call allies, literally in Europe today, because she's said that the pressure she is under from the American administration is proving very difficult for her government. There are two sides to this dispute.
So let's just see where diplomacy takes us on issues like this. And I know why you're trying to get me just to make this into one side or another at the moment. There are a lot of discussions going on. This is a new American administration. We have a brand new commission in the European Union, and we are facing real global challenges, and we need to find common ground.
But we are
to work
against,
together.
aren't we? Anyone, whether it's the United States or any country, using their military and economic power to try and bully a smaller country. We're against that.
Look,
we're not.
No, let's just see where the diplomacy of this takes us. We have a president that is strident in his language and actually is working constructively in many different areas, including in technology, where we're talking about today.
Peter, I guess the point is that Trump hasn't ruled out military action to get Greenland. So at that point, aren't you kind of thinking, alarm bells are ringing, we're an ally of Denmark's, of course, it goes without even a pause, of course we would come to the rescue of a bullied country.
So
we're against the US invading.
I think everyone who is listening to this understands that we are living in a world where rhetoric is used in extremis, and that we're talking rhetoric in this case, and where rhetoric is used in extremis, and that people expect this government to be acting in the national interest and the global interests, because the first half of this conversation was about China. You know, China is working extremely hard for dominance, both military dominance, diplomatic dominance, technological dominance, and it is using its power around the world, and we need to find areas of cooperation. And then our traditional allies.
But the British government is against the Chinese invading Taiwan. So we are against the United States invading Greenland.
Of course. Look, let's just not take rhetoric and pretend that it is actually, happening right now. We have to find ways of finding common ground. Britain is very, very good at using its bilateral relationships and its multilateral relationships to focus on the positive, and that is what we are doing at the moment.
But the British government is against the US taking military action in Greenland. They are. I mean, surely that's a given.
No, Lewis, you stop taking rhetoric and saying that this is actually...
The Danish PM has been clear about the pressure.
She's running around Europe now because she's worried. She's drumming up support from European leaders
for what is a diplomatic issue, which I'm not going to escalate. I'm going to say that we are focused on national interests at the moment. Tomorrow I'm in the EU, working constructively with our partners. I was in the US just before Christmas.
I mean, would America get kicked out of NATO if
no,
they invaded?
No.
Could you be a NATO member and invade another
country?
I'm speaking. I'm here as a Secretary of State, and you can throw a million hypotheticals, and what we are doing is operating on facts. We are legislating for the best interests of our country. We are working to restore relations with the EU, strengthen relationships with a new US administration, which, yes, there will be opportunities with it, and we know Donald Trump is not secret about the way that he negotiates hard, and he uses disruptive rhetoric in order to get what he wants.
Strengthening relations. One thing that we haven't heard about from President Trump's phone call with Keir Starmer was where the Mandelson question is now. Is Number 10 committed to its ambassadorial appointment?
As far as I know, it's all progressing. I'm not in the Foreign Office, and I've literally been involved in none of those conversations. But as far as I know, the normal process is unfolding without hiccups.
So he will be. You put money on him.
So you have to understand. I'm not involved in any of the conversations around any of it. Yeah. So I've not even been in a corridor where I've overheard conversations about this. But I know that Peter. I think Peter would be an outstanding ambassador.
The Newsagents. This is a Global Player original podcast.